Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about 5 things I wish I knew before investing in crypto. I think I might start this series and kind of go from mistakes being made in crypto, kind of learning from them and all that kind of stuff. But before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys to please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate it. Now, overall, mistakes will happen in this market. You will invest into some projects that might not just do good. You might, make a mistake here and there, but ultimately, it's learning from those mistakes. I've known people in this market that have lost millions of dollars before, of course, learning from them, and again, they made it all back and then some. It's easy to really kind of bounce back from mistakes as long as you are understanding why and what to do to really avoid those mistakes the next time that you do make them. But today, I'm going to be talking about 5 things I wish that I knew before jumping into crypto that honestly could have saved me and made me a ton of money. So let's start with the number one thing, and that is understanding what moves the markets. Now, this is one that's a little bit sort of 50-50 for a lot of people. Some people think that they do know what moves the market, and then there's people who, might not have any clue at all about what moves the market. Honestly, when we talk about, crypto, it's the idea that what really makes this market move is a few factors. And we could actually kind of move on to, number 2 as well within this, and it's, things to watch throughout the week that actually allow for this market to have a lot more buyer interest. Because ultimately, money flows is what does move the market. But ultimately, when do we see the interest of money flowing into this market dropping, and when do we see it actually rising? So first off, let's take a look at the 10-year yield. Now, this is a pretty interesting factor. For anybody who doesn't know basically what the 10-year yield does or kind of promotes, this is one of those viewpoints that I've always said, pay attention to this, especially if you are in stocks or even if you are in crypto. This is actually pretty key for both of those markets, because I've told you guys throughout the time of being on this channel, basically I've been uploading for over a year now. The 10-year really kind of gives us a little bit of an insight on buyer interest. This is where we will see interest around risk on and risk off assets, and it really kind of gives us a little bit of an insight on, hey, should we even be putting our money into crypto and stocks right now, or should we kind of be sitting on the sidelines in the dollar? Now, some people might tell you, hey, this is going to give you an insight on mortgage rates and things like that, but this actually shows you the confidence behind investors in risky investments. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight, right? We go back to, now this is on the weekly chart, by the way. We go back to March of 2020, and you guys do see the major interest starting to decline at around the December timeframe. Now, once this did break down below all EMAs, this should have told you to get out and kind of risk out of all investments in terms of riskiness. Crypto and stocks. And as you guys do see, this plummeted during, again, February into the the week of March 9th. Now, at around this time, crypto was crashing. Crypto, in fact, crashed a massive amount. Individuals were very concerned that crypto was going into a multi-year bear market. They thought it was over. Now, as this kind of ranged on, we've seen buyer interest, sort of flow back in. Now, this started to happen at around August. Now, obviously, during this time, DeFi summer was a booming thing in 2020. So, as you did see, the market kind of gained some strength in terms of Bitcoin and, like the total too for altcoins. That's when we did see, again, a lot more buying opportunities within risk-on assets, aka stocks and even crypto. Now, this right now is telling us that there is a lot of interest at, basically, or I should say around risk-on assets, aka crypto and stocks. This is why I do think that crypto is, something as a massive opportunity right now at these current levels. But this is a key factor to watch for. And in fact, I wish I knew more about the 10-year yield before I got into crypto, because I could have capitalized greatly at around, for example, like the April timeframe where we did have that massive drop in price. And this really kind of shows you exactly why you should be watching the 10-year yield going forward, which is also my number 2 thing to watch for, or aka wish I knew that I knew before I got into crypto, which is a key factor to analyze throughout the week. This is a key factor to watch. Also, the dollar. All right, this is kind of a little bit of sort of self-explanatory thing, but as the dollar rises in value, we do see a lot of risk on assets losing value. Now, right now, as the market is kind of sitting stable, this is because everyone's kind of uncertain on what's going to happen with the US dollar. Now, obviously, when we look at this, I do believe that we are at our local topping point for the US dollar, so this will most likely see a downward trend, which will lead to a major impulse throughout the market. Pretty interesting, to say the least, that you might be thinking, well, why would a decrease in the dollar in terms of value push the prices of stocks and even risk on assets like crypto? It's pretty simple, self-explanatory, it's the idea that individuals want to hedge their bets in things that are going to gain value, not lose value. The dollar, in my opinion, is a terrible investment opportunity. Holding the US dollar is never going to make you rich, and I've always addressed this. You want to invest and hold things that are going to appreciate in value, not sit stable for years or maybe rise here and there, but also, as inflation rates are increasing, the US dollar is also decreasing in value on the macro view in your bank account, meaning you are losing 8.5% in your bank account. So pay attention to the dollar throughout the days as well, in terms of Monday through Friday, same with the 10-year, and also the major indices. So these are 3 things that move the market greatly. Obviously, buyer interest is the main concerning factor that does move Bitcoin and aka the entire market, but also even, stocks, right? Stocks kind of rely on the dollar and also even the 10-year, but they also rely on news, right? Because news could sell a FOMO or it could sell a sell fear signal. We've seen this with, March of 2020, aka COVID, right? Things could drastically affect the entire market. That's why I also like to watch like CNBC. Like when we look at the overall macro view of finance, you really want to pay attention to finance throughout the entire week, as it really gives you a little bit of a better insight on things that are happening. But also pay attention to the 3 major indices, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones throughout the week, as these also do move the market. I've actually addressed why the S&P 500 looks very similar to Bitcoin. It's because they do kind of move together closely, which is pretty funny because everybody thinks that Bitcoin is like it's a decentralized, project that's not moving with anything. It's not tied to the stock market or anything, but actually there's a strong correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P 500. But ultimately, this is also a major factor to watch throughout the week. So we are clearing up number 1 and 2 on my 5 things I wish I knew before investing in crypto, and that is understanding what moves the market and the key factors to analyze throughout the week, which is, of course, the 10-year, which gives us a little bit of an insight on buyer confidence around risk on and risk off assets. This is a very good indicator to watch for. This has been printing a very bullish picture for, again, interest around risk on and risk off assets. The only concerning factor right now is RSI on the 10-year, which it's nearing a very, very overbought level since going back to March of 2021, where we did have that crashing point. So I'm watching this very closely. If we do see, a lot of weakness happening on the 10-year yield, it might be best to de-risk. Now, also, the dollar, right? I'm just kind of summing up 1 and 2, by the way, for you guys. The dollar, anything that does happen with the US dollar, kind of think about the opposite thing happening with crypto, right? Meaning if the dollar is going to rise drastically in value, crypto and stocks are most likely going to do the opposite or kind of sit stable, which we have been seeing right now. This goes back to even March of 2020, while, crypto was doing the downward swing here, the dollar was gaining some momentum. Now, this is on the weekly candle, by the way. Now, as you guys do see, this topped out around March 23rd, and then this kind of went into a multi-year bear market, which led to a major, sort of alt run. We were seeing a lot of money flowing into this market as well. And then, of course, major indices, pretty much clear, cut, and dry. You guys know that these three are going to show you buyer interest as well within stocks as a risk, asset class, which also leads to, again, crypto. Now, also, we are doing the next one, which is always do your own research. So this one is pretty crucial. I would say that when I first started in crypto, I was always kind of going off of what people would say on YouTube, on Twitter, on this, on that. And, it's not bad if you are listening or watching somebody that's very, I would say, sort of legitimate in the sense that they are really kind of looking out for you. But I also see a lot of individuals in this market that try to get you to FOMO in. Now, I'm not going to be utilizing anybody's names. I'm actually just going to do a quick search on Twitter in terms of Dogecoin, right? So Dogecoin, we see, Dogecoin $1 is imminent. A lot of these, tweets and things like that, or even videos, kind of play into individuals' emotions. When you are an emotional investor, okay, it really kind of puts you in the place on you're going to listen to what anyone tells you in terms of bullish or bearish. Meaning, if somebody's going to say a massive crash is coming right now, you're going to be, sort of fearful. If somebody says, hey, $1 is imminent for Dogecoin, you're like, all right, well, I need to invest everything that I possibly can, which also leads me to number 5, sorry. Which is never overinvest. I know that I'm skipping number 4. Don't worry, we're going to talk about number 4. But this is something to really avoid. Do not listen to what everyone tells you on Twitter. Always do your own research. Understand a few factors around, this market, and understand the things around a project. It's very easy to understand what a project's really kind of focused on and what they are doing. The number one way to really kind of analyze this is going on coinmarketcap.com. Here is where you can kind of go to any project, like for example, Solana. They usually have a white paper here that you could read through the white paper, see what they are doing. You could also go to their websites and look at tokenomics, look at the team, look at what they're focused on, look at what they are building. A lot of that stuff is pretty crucial to really understand, and it really kind of gives you the confidence behind your project to know if you can, hold for a long time to see the value perceived, or maybe you're just not, confident with that investment anymore, so you're kind of going to de-risk yourself and sell and go into a different project. I've always said do your own research because it's very crucial to understand what you are investing your money into. That way, when something does have a, violent swing in the market, aka like a drop 16%, you're not panicking and you're saying, well, this is it. This is the end. I'm selling right now. Okay, so understand that. Always do your own research. Don't look for, individuals on Twitter to tell you, why your investment's good, or, don't listen to things like, hey, it's going to $1 tomorrow. It's going to easily see $1. Even like this, right? Like, I wish Doge touches $1 until the end of May, right? A lot of people are sitting here wishing and waiting for, something to pump. But I want you guys to understand that it's not people saying, hey, $1 is imminent for Dogecoin that's going to make it go to $1. You really need to see perceived value behind it, or just, technically speculative hype, which is basically being built around this market every single day. But it's the idea that, hey, is it going to go to $1 because somebody says it? No. Are you going to invest your money because somebody says $1 is imminent? No. Always do your own research. Always understand what you are putting your money into, and never overinvest, which we are going to talk about more so here shortly. But I'm going to move on to the next one, which is number 4, and that is do not FOMO. Okay? I have seen this happen so many times in this market where we have that, major breakout. Now I'm using ADA here for an example, but we have this major breakout event, right? Now, We'll see like a major move, like we'll go from like $1.40 to about $2.40 or something like this, like where we go to $2. Now, at around this time in the market, you'll see, tweets similar to these two where we'll see ADA's going to $5, $10. You'll see YouTube videos, right? ADA, is it going to $100? Does it have $10 plus potential? Is it going to go to $10 tomorrow? Mass listings and bullish news. A massive announcement just came out. I want you guys to understand that this is where people will FOMO. They will have that fear of missing out, and they will invest all that they possibly can all at once to basically make massive wealth. Now, mind you, if you do FOMO, you have two things to watch for. It's the idea on, are you going to wait for those targets to be hit, which is a terrible thing to do, because sometimes, like for an example, if you were waiting on this going to $5 or so, guess what? You are now down from your investment area. We'll just say that you invested at around this point. You are now down over 56% in terms of your investment. And maybe you just invested a ton of money. You don't have anything on the sidelines now to reinvest, to really buy the dip and really kind of offset your overall average investment. So now you're basically down 56% and you have to wait for this to bounce back, all while there's a massive amount of opportunity throughout this market, better ROI. It's really something to really kind of analyze and address, because fear of missing out gets almost everyone. There's times where I look at a project that I was going to invest in and it already jumped out and I'm like, should I even wait for this to kind of retest lows, or should I just invest now? I want you guys to understand that whatever goes up must come down. So when we have a major breakout event where something's up 30, 40%, it's going to most likely correct. If it doesn't, then hey, you move on, you go to a different asset. And the reason why I say that is because we are in a market where there's almost 19,000 cryptocurrencies. You do not need to always just pick one. There's going to be a bunch of winners in this market. This market is vast. There's a ton of opportunity, and you don't just need to buy something because there's a green candle. And I want you also to understand that a lot of these projects do take time. For an example, like ADA's breakout event, this took a lot of time to get to those breakout points, but those early investors are the ones that made a ton of the money. And I want to really kind of reiterate the idea that, you never need to FOMO into a project to make money. Always try to find things, and this goes with, by the way, number 3, where I said always do your own research. If you research something and it looks very promising and you guys can get in on the early stages, because right now I wouldn't even touch any of the top 10 investment opportunities if you can avoid it. Meaning, when we look at market cap doesn't really matter to an extent. I'm just saying, if you want to make a lot of money in this market, you want to get in on early stage projects that are under, $1 billion market cap. That way, when they do start to break out, you can make a ton of money. That's why I always say, do your own research, understand what you are buying into, and understand what you are investing into before you even put $1 in. Because if you're investing just because there's a green candle, or maybe you've seen a YouTube video, maybe it came up on your recommended page, and it says, this coin is a 1000x opportunity, and there's really not a bunch of information around it in the video. The guy's just saying, hey, you need to invest in this because it is a 1000x opportunity. There's no actual description around why it is. Then 9 times out of 10, it's just basically to get you to FOMO in. I have done videos in the past on like 100x opportunities and gems that I have found that could possibly do 100x opportunities. I always say, take your initial investment out when you have at least 10x, because that is where a lot of potential has been made. Like for example, I just made a video on Chromatica about a week ago. We were sitting at about like almost 10 cents. This is almost up 2x. Would I say to invest in this? Absolutely not. Look at this chart. Would you invest at around this stage? No, absolutely not. It's almost at the all-time highs. But this is also something that I found that is under, a $15 million market cap off of doing my own research. This is why it is crucial to understand this market. You don't want to invest into something that has already, moved drastically. Like, would I invest into ADA? Absolutely not. It's at almost 95 cents. Would this do a 10x from here to have a 310, almost $320 billion market cap by the end of this cycle? Absolutely not. So why would I invest in this to make maybe a 2, 3, 4x when I can invest into something that can possibly give me a 100x return? It just doesn't make sense to invest in this, even though people, I'm sure, are still making videos on ADA saying that it's going to go to the moon tomorrow, it's going to go here, it's going to go there. This is also why I say to always do your own research and never FOMO in. And of course, number 5, never overinvest your money. Never invest what you cannot afford to lose. I've seen this happen so many times within this market. For example, Dogecoin, right? Dogecoin is a perfect example of why you should never FOMO. I remember at around this stage when we were at the all-time high, Elon Musk going on, live television talking about Dogecoin. It was actually on the same date that this started to crash. And this is a huge, sell signal. When somebody's going to go on live television and pump a coin, drastically, first off, never put your trust behind billionaires. They are not here to make you money. They got rich off of, again, your money. But when we look at this, right, this is something that you do not want to invest in at around this point. I mean, think about it logically, right? From the ground floor at about like a half a cent all the way to almost 70 cents, would you be holding this still? And would you be buying up here? Absolutely not. But again, I'm sure that there was people putting in their life savings at around this point, and look at where the chart is now. So again, do not FOMO, do not overinvest, invest in small increments and buy the dips when they do happen. Don't just chase the falling knife, by the way. Wait for a clear, strength to be, revisited, aka, like, for example, I'm not going to use Dogecoin too much, but I can kind of show you guys on Dogecoin as an example. This has bottomed out at roughly around like 11 cents. Is its full bottom actually in? Most likely not. I mean, I don't invest in meme coins. I invest into things that actually have, very strong fundamentals. I just think it's the safest bet. But when we look at this, right, if we were to invest into like this at 11 cents, I would wait for this to actually kind of bounce back a little bit and regain a support level. That way we could actually kind of buy support. You never just want to chase a falling knife just because it is dropping, because if you were investing while this was dropping during this entire time, you're most likely even down more off of those DCAs. And again, you're basically overinvested. So don't just overinvest your money. Don't ever put in more money than you can afford to lose, because this market is extremely volatile. You never know what is going to exactly happen. I mean, watching the factors, watching things that are leading up to what could possibly happen definitely does give you a little bit of a better insight, which again is something that I wish that I knew before putting my money into cryptocurrency. But all of these, these 5 things would have helped me drastically in the beginning stages of my crypto investments, and I still utilize these 5 to this date. I always kind of look for better opportunities than what I'm seeing being, spewed around. Think about it like this. Would you rather be early, or would you rather be one of the people that some early investors telling you to get in now when you're at the topping point, right? Always be, a leader. Don't be a follower in this market. It will really help you in the long-term span. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.